You're 42. You check your 401k on a Tuesday night. The number stares back at you. It's not terrible, it's not great. It's just there. And something inside you goes quiet. You feel it before you can name it. A small, cold realization. The clock just changed sound. It's not ticking anymore, it's counting. Because here's the truth nobody tells you in your 20s. Your retirement isn't decided over 40 years. It's decided in one specific decade. And if you're between 40 and 50 right now, you are standing inside that decade. Every dollar you move today carries more weight than the last 20 years combined. This isn't motivation. This is math wearing a quiet warning. The next 10 years either compound into freedom or compound into regret. Most men your age don't see the trap they're walking into. They feel productive. They feel responsible. And they're still drifting toward a retirement that won't hold them. Because the trap isn't laziness. It's comfort that looks like progress. You earn more, so you spend more, and the savings rate stays exactly the same. That's lifestyle creep wearing a nice shirt. The raise feels like a win. The new monthly payment feels like an upgrade. The math underneath quietly stalls. You tell yourself you'll catch up later. There's always a later in your head, a bonus, a promotion, a windfall that fixes it. But later is exactly what this decade eats. Later is the lie that lets the decade pass without you noticing it left. Let me show you what's really happening under the hood. Between 40 and 50, your dollars hit their highest compounding velocity that still matters. A dollar saved at 42 has roughly 23 years to double, then double again. A dollar saved at 55 has maybe 10, the same effort, a fraction of the result. That's not pessimism, that's the geometry of time. The average 45-year-old American has somewhere around the price of a mid-tier sedan saved for retirement. Not a house, not even close to what the math actually requires, and most of them have no idea how far behind they are. Because the number on the 401k screen feels big. 6 figures looks like wealth. Until you divide it by 30 years of post-work life. That's the first decoding. The trap isn't that you didn't save. The trap is that you saved just enough to feel safe and not enough to actually be safe. Safety theater. That's what most retirement accounts become in this decade. They look like protection. They function like a sedative. The second trap is subtler. It's the belief that your peak earning years are also your peak saving years. They're supposed to be. For most men, they're not. Because peak earning collides with peak obligation. Kids approaching college, aging parents needing help, a house that keeps asking for money. The income climbs, the leaks climb faster. You're not failing. You're being quietly drained by life's most expensive decade, and no one warned you would feel this normal. Here's the healthy version, just so you can see the contrast. A man on track is not necessarily earning more than you. He's protecting more of what he earns from himself. He automates before he sees the money. He treats his savings rate like a non-negotiable bill. He doesn't budget what's left over. He budgets what gets to leave. The trap version looks the opposite. He waits to see what's left at month's end. He calls that discipline. It's actually surrender dressed as patience. Now let's talk about the number most men in this decade get wrong. The number that decides everything. Your savings rate, not your salary. A man earning $120,000 saving 8% ends this decade poorer than a man earning $80,000 saving 20. The salary is loud. The rate is silent. The rate is silent. That's the advanced nuance almost nobody internalizes. Retirement isn't built by how much you make. It's built by the percentage you refuse to touch. And in this specific decade, that percentage needs to climb. Not dramatically, but intentionally. 1 or 2 points per year, automated, invisible. Because here's what's coming, whether you plan for it or not. Your 60s will not be your saving years. Your 60s will be your spending down years. The build has to be mostly done by then. I want to pause here for a second. Because I know what some of you are feeling right now. A tight chest, a small voice saying, I'm already behind, and maybe a louder voice asking, is it too late? I want you to comment on this video honestly. Where are you in this decade? Are you 41 and just waking up? 52 and recalculating? Somewhere in the middle, doing the quiet math? Because your honesty in the comments might be the exact thing another man scrolling tonight needs to read. He's checking his 401k right now. He thinks he's the only one. He isn't. So tell me where you are. Tell me what you wish you'd known at 35. Tell me what you're trying to fix now. Your words become someone else's permission to start. That's not small. That's the whole point of this channel. Okay, back to the decade. Because there's a third trap inside this window, and it's the most expensive one. Most men in their 40s confuse activity with strategy. They're busy, they're earning, they're paying bills on time. They believe the busyness itself is the plan. It isn't. Busyness is what replaces a plan when no one ever made one. A real plan is boring. It has a target number, a timeline, a monthly contribution, a risk allocation that matches the time left. Most men have none of these written down. If you can't say your retirement number out loud right now, you don't have a plan. You have a hope. And hope is the most expensive financial product on earth. Here's the fourth trap, and this one stings. Risk aversion at exactly the wrong age. Men in this decade start getting cautious right when they should be getting strategic. You watch a market dip in your 40s and pull back. You sit in cash because it feels safer. That cash quietly loses to inflation while your timeline shrinks. Safety becomes the slowest form of loss. The healthy version isn't recklessness. It's understanding that 10 to 20 more years of growth is still a long runway. Pulling back too early is its own kind of risk. It just doesn't feel like one. And then there's the social trap, the one that gets the most men in this decade: comparison spending. Your peers are buying second homes, bigger trucks, vacations they post in fragments. You see the surface, you don't see their balance sheets. Half the men your age who look wealthy are one job loss from panic. The cars are leased, the homes are leveraged, the lifestyle is rented from a future that isn't promised. You don't need to keep up. You need to opt out, quietly, without announcement. Because the men who retire rich at 65 are the men who stopped competing at 45. That's the second behavioral decoding. Comparison isn't about wanting their stuff, it's about not trusting your own pace. The fix isn't more money, it's more conviction. Now let's talk about what to actually do inside this decade. Not as advice, as a frame. First, know your number. The number you'd need invested to replace your current lifestyle indefinitely. For most men in this audience, that number is larger than they think and closer than they fear. Second, raise your savings rate by 1% every year automatically. You won't feel it. Your future self will feel nothing but it. Small, invisible, relentless. Third, separate your accounts emotionally. Retirement money is not money. It's a different species. You don't touch it. You don't borrow from it. You don't even look at it monthly. Fourth, audit your fixed costs every 2 years. Most lifestyle creep hides inside subscriptions, insurance, and housing. Not coffee, not dinners. The big quiet leaks. Fifth, stop optimizing for the next 5 years. Start optimizing for the next 25. Different time horizon, different decisions, completely different life. And here's the part most men miss entirely. This decade is also psychological, not just financial. Because somewhere between 45 and 52, a quiet identity shift happens. You stop seeing yourself as someone with infinite time. You start seeing yourself as someone with finite chapters. That shift is a gift if you let it be. It clarifies, it cuts noise, it tells you what actually matters. Most men resist it because it feels like aging. It's actually waking up. The men who retire well don't just save more. They want less of the wrong things. They downgrade their ego before they downgrade their lifestyle. That order matters. Because you can't out-earn an ego that keeps rewriting your definition of enough. Enough has to be decided, consciously, once, and then defended. That's the advanced layer most personal finance content skips. Wealth in this decade isn't built by addition. It's built by subtraction. What you stop chasing matters more than what you start buying. Here's what nobody tells you about the man who retires comfortably. He didn't get lucky. He didn't time the market. He didn't pick the right stock at the right moment. He made a decision in his 40s to stop drifting. He chose a number. He chose a rate. He chose a pace. And he kept his hands off the wheel for 20 years. That's it. That's the whole secret. Boring, repeatable, almost insultingly simple, and almost nobody does it. You can still be that man. Whether you're 41 or 49, this decade is not over. The compounding is still alive. The runway is still real. The math still works. But it works on one condition. You have to stop waiting for a better moment. There isn't one coming. The better moment is the one you're sitting in right now watching this. So if this video gave you that quiet tap on the shoulder you needed, give it a like. It genuinely helps the channel reach other men in this same decade who are doing the same quiet math tonight. Subscribe and turn on the bell if you want more of this. No hype, no shouting. Just the conversations about money that men in our age range rarely get to have out loud. And drop a comment below. Which point hit you hardest? Where are you in your own decade? What's the one habit you're going to change this month, even if it's small? Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the inner work most men avoid until it's too late. The fact that you watched this whole thing already puts you ahead of most. Next, I want to take you deeper into the exact behaviors of men who quietly become wealthy after 50, even when they thought they'd missed the window. Because the decade that decides isn't the end of the story. It's the doorway. And what's on the other side is more reachable than you've been told. I'll see you there.